Alright, today we're going to discuss the Lavar Ball and the Big Baller brand shoe deal. Did Lavar Ball put his foot in his mouth with the shoe deal, and the pros and cons of the whole entire Lavar Ball situation, not just the shoe deal. First, we're going to talk about the good. Mr. Ball has leveraged his son's talents to create his own brand and his own shoes. Besides cutting out the middleman via Nike, Adidas, etc., this gives Lavar not only more creative control over his product while allowing him to voice his opinion on social issues if he chooses to. Many athletes are censored due to certain sponsorships, which limits their First Amendment rights. The Black community wants to have their voice heard on social issues without fear of losing sponsorships and/or money. Then Mr. Ball's achievements must be commended. If we want our athletes to become more socially conscious and potential role models, then we should encourage other athletes to come together to create their own brands. Yes, it's a risk that might not pay off, but the influence athletes have on their communities they come from will only become more impactful if given the opportunity to voice their feelings on social issues. It only makes sense that if the multi-billion-dollar shoe companies target the desires of Black culture, that Black athletes should finally be able to voice their opinions on social issues, and they can start by creating their own brand. We get on to athletes being role models, not being role models. Charles Barkley said he wasn't a role model back in the day. People say, well, the parents should teach their kids. No matter how good of a parent you are, children are going to be influenced. You're going to have role models, movies or actors and actresses or, wrestling, different things like that. So it's not particularly bad parenting if you have role models outside of the home. I kind of think that's at this point inevitable with social media in the picture now more than ever. There's going to be influences outside of the home unless you just have a strict traditional type of household. It's just gonna happen. So with that being said, we have to realize that the role athletes do play in encouraging our children. And if we love Muhammad Ali so much, and different athletes who spoke up, Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, if they're revered, then we definitely should push forward athletes speaking out. And this is probably the best way that this can happen is for us to create our own brands and support those brands that we control and that we own, to basically give us a platform. You can use the brands as a platform. So now the cons of this whole situation. As I said before, when I spoke about the petite bourgeoisie, they can often afford to pay for the labor of production, but will never own the modes of production. So Mr. Lavar Ball, he can afford to, or at least use his son's leverage as an affordability to get the shoes made, since his son is getting a contract, multi-million-dollar contract. So he can afford the production of being an independent brand, but will he ever gain the modes of production? So this is where the petite bourgeoisie, you see the high prices and different things like that. They want to be the 1%. They want to be the higher upper class of, capitalism. But it never happens. If you remember the Burning Sands review, we spoke on hazing in Black fraternities and their aspirations to become the petite bourgeoisie. They aspire to become like the 1%. In the case of the Big Baller brand, Lavar has already isolated himself from inner city Blacks with a $500 astronomical shoe sale price. By using poverty shaming as a marketing tactic to announce the pre-order release of the shoe. The issue is not so much the price as it is the poverty shaming, in my opinion, that has been used in rap culture and is unfortunately all too common in the black community. Keeping up with the Joneses, rims, and different things like that. That hasn't done anything to uplift the black community. Why are those lowest on the economic pole so concerned about telling others what they have acquired? Mr. Ball, being a native of South Central, has clearly seen how poverty and drugs can destroy a community. He should understand the lack of employment there as well. Big Baller Brand, just like the petite bourgeoisie, markets themselves as elite class of capitalists. Big Baller Brand is further separating the culture divide between the have and have-nots. The black community's obsession with the facade of being economically superior than those living in the same community as them must be destroyed. We have to learn not to shame those under us economically just to make a profit. So, as we showed in the Burning Sands review, as I just spoke, the petite bourgeoisie, they kind of have one foot in, one foot out, but really it's both feet towards the bourgeoisie. It's not really, they haven't learned to bring the community up with them, but they want to use the community as a market, because these shoes, even the shoes that are $100 and $200 that are too expensive, they're using the black audience, the black culture, basketball, street ball, different things like that, black athletes. They're using us to market it, but white people, I'm sure, spend the majority of the money on these expensive shoes, but they're not marketed towards white people. So it's kind of like, you might have seen the meme with the Popeyes woman, and it says Popeyes TV CEO, and there's the black woman making the chicken, and then you see the actual Popeyes CEO, and it's like a middle-aged white woman that you'll never see in a Popeyes commercial. And this is just marketing that they understand. So you can join the conversation with using the MMNEWS hashtag, and tell me what you think. What are your thoughts? I think, he's not marketing the shoes towards the inner city community. My concern really isn't the price. There's other shoes you can choose from. But I think he's marketing people that can afford it, people that go to the, rich suburban schools or private schools, people that have both parents, just like his children. He's not really concerned about the black community like that, which really most people aren't. That, because I never understood why we say, we have the Gucci and Prada and this and that, and then people say we drive and show these expensive things back to the black community, like if I can do it, you can do it. To me, that's not really, it's showing what you got. It's not really showing how you got it. If you actually show them how you get it, if you, Mr. Ball, if he comes back to the community, if he coaches black fathers and children on discipline, he has these camps on how to build a better bond with your child, because for him to have his children this good in basketball, it takes a lot of discipline, it takes some structure. So if he shows how he got to this point, that's one thing. But too often I hear, well, I'm just showing it off because if you see that I can get it, then you can get it. And that really doesn't really, that's still being motivated by money, which some people are motivated by money, some people aren't. But I think it goes a lot further if you show people how you actually got it, what steps you took. Alright, so that'll do it for this video. Stay tuned.